Welcome to Best Practice TV. If you are somebody who is implementing ISO 27001 Information Security Management Systems Standard, if you're somebody who is in charge of looking at your integrated management system, and you're somebody who is wanting to learn more about what's involved in ISO 27001, how do I do it? How does it apply to my organization? I'm stressed with this. I don't know what's going on. Please help me. In this short live stream, I'm going to be talking through the controls that are at the back of ISO 27001 and giving you some clarity, starting to demystify the standard and give you some confidence to keep going forward with implementation. There is no doubt that ISO 27001 is taking the world by storm. It is definitely the latest and greatest thing that organizations need to implement. Cybersecurity has become an incredibly important issue for all organizations, whether that is the importance is caused by your will to do the right thing in terms of cybersecurity for your organization, or whether it is being a push from regulators or government or different stakeholders. It's definitely come to the forefront of media attention with the war in Ukraine that's been happening recently, with the pandemic. And it's definitely, as organizations move more and more every day to paperless systems, electronic systems, whether they're in the cloud or on site, looking after information and improving information security is something that's super important. So let's keep talking about cybersecurity. Here at Best Practice, we help organizations get recognition, and we give the recognition for ISO 27001. So we are an organization that can do an audit and give you certification or accreditation globally. You can come to us. So that is the agenda that we're running here. So if you're somebody who is looking to get external recognition, or if you're somebody who is looking for some guidance and support, coaching, if you're somebody looking for internal audits, then give us a call or send us a message or jump on bestpractice.biz website and you can get lots more information. Huge amount of videos and content on this YouTube channel. Lots of information at bestpracticeeducation.com. We've got a training academy. There's an ISO 27001 course. Lots of content for you. But in this particular video, I'm going to go through just the start, and it's going to be part of a multi-part series. I might take 4 live streams to cover off all of these elements. I don't want to bore you to tears today. We'll just keep it short and sweet, but I am going to start with the controls. So these are on page 10 of ISO 27001. If you need a hard copy of the standard, you can reach out to the Best Practice office or go to bestpractice.education.com.au and submit a query. We do have spare hard copies here in the office, a big pile of them, and we can get you out a hard copy. We can post it to you anywhere in the world. We also have a checklist that you can use to do internal audits and your gap analysis available on our website. All the resources are here. You don't need to go anywhere else. And we would love to work with you. We'd love to see you use our brand on your website, your business card, on your tenders, on your email signatures to say that you have an information security management system in place that is best practice. We are Best Practice. That's us. There's only one of us in the world. You come here for ISO 27001. We've got a huge team of auditors that can help you from anywhere in the world. Let's get into it. I promised you I would talk about the controls today. I'm going to start at the top with A5. So this is Appendix A. I'm going to start with A5. We're going to go through the controls. I'm going to lightly touch on them. We'll do a few. I don't want to take too much of your time. I apologize for being a little bit late this morning. A couple of little technical issues, and we did have a marketing meeting right before this, so we've run over a little bit of time on that. As with all of these great videos, whether it's now during the live stream or when you're watching the video, please let me know where you are in the world watching from. It helps me because at the moment I'm just looking at a black camera lens and right behind that camera is a white wall. So I feel like I'm talking to myself. The boys here in the studio have given me a dashboard and I can see the LinkedIn comments and I can see the YouTube comments, and I will check back over. This video will stay on the Best Practice TV YouTube channel. There's lots of great videos there in playlists on subjects. So whether you're looking for ISO 9001 quality management systems, 45001 OH&S, how to integrate management systems, how to effectively implement management systems, it's all there in the Best Practice TV website. And all of our other written kind of information is on bestpractice.biz, bestpractice.biz. Let's get into it. A5.1.1. I'm just going to talk through these controls. So at the back of the ISO 27001, the international standard, this framework is specifying for you what to do. Now, this is in the scheme of things, this is quite a new standard. And at the back in Annex A, it's being quite prescriptive in how to go about implementing your information security management system. So let's get into it. The first section talks about policies for information security. A set of policies for information security shall be defined, approved by management, published, and communicated to employees and relevant external parties. Now, those policies are obviously expanded on a little bit more inside the standard, but they're things like, on a day-to-day basis, your password management policy. How do you help your team members and the people in your organization set up and choose a password that is secure? Different types of passwords, more secure than others, easier to crack than others. Here at Best Practice, we recommend a passphrase that's also got some symbols in it. So a passphrase that's easy for your team members to remember, and they can use that. And it's more of a phrase than a word, and you can use symbols as letters. For example, the @ sign is a symbol. The @ sign that you use in an email address, for example, that's a symbol. That's a really good supplement for the letter A. So if you had a passphrase that maybe had the letter A in it, you could exchange that symbol. And so when a bot is trying to crack passwords, not only does it have to cycle through the alphabet in upper and lowercase, it's also got to cycle through all of the symbols to get things in the right place. And it makes passwords infinitely harder to crack. Exclamation marks, hashtags, the hash, stars, all of those symbols that sit above the numbers on your keyboard, they're all the kinds of things that you can put into a password. So letters, numbers, and symbols, obviously letters, upper and lowercase, numbers and symbols, all of those things that you can do, underscores, dashes, those kinds of things. So I'd encourage you to look at that. So that would be an example of one of the policies, policy guidance on passwords and policy guidance on the frequency of changing passwords. Here at Best Practice, we roll out password changes on a quarterly basis. So we force that to happen. We log everybody out of the system. They got to log back in with their old password and set up a new password. And that's part of constantly updating it. So, there's that joke, what is Forrest Gump's password? One, Forrest, one. We want to try to avoid that kind of thing because those kind of common terms are easier to crack. Okay. To the policy, your company's policy on two-factor authentication. There's obviously different cloud-based systems using different authentication systems. I do really like Google Authenticator. That's a really great product. It's a great app that you can install, scan the QR code, set up the two-factor authentication. Some platforms like banks, for example, might have text messaging two-factor authentication. So you've got to log in. It says send text. So you actually have to have the mobile phone handy that is receiving a text message to help you to get that 6 or 8 digit number code to put in as far as two-factor authentication is concerned. So the policies the standard's talking about are those policies. And you could do a Google search, common cybersecurity policies. I can guarantee lots of examples are going to come up, and that's a great place to start with drafts for your policies for information security system. Do a Google search, common cybersecurity policies. And if you click the images button, then you're going to see lots of examples. That's the industry cheat sheet. That's the hack that consultants don't want you to know when you're setting up an information security management system. A lot of consultants just do searches, click the images button, choose the document that looks the best, copy it, put your logo on it, and sell it to you. So that's a really great way of doing it yourself. And that's what I'm here for, to show you these industry tricks and hacks so that you can keep improving this thing over time and get better and better at it as you go. Of course, some consultants are very ethical and very professional, and they have ironclad tight policies that are really well written because they've been evolved over time and time and time again. But to get you started and get you going in the right direction so you can get a feel for this, then that's going to cost you nothing to do a Google search and rip and replace some of those examples that you find. Okay, review of the policies for information security. The policies for information security shall be reviewed at planned intervals or if significant changes occur, ensuring that continued suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. So I think it would be relevant to maybe have everything that you kind of document on maybe an annual cycle so that you look at it and kind of set an alert or a reminder to go through and be updating those things from time to time. And you do need to do that. And I think if there is a seasonal nature to your business, that's the kind of thing that you plan to do when you're quiet. For us here at Best Practice, over the end of calendar year period, here in Australia, it's summer holidays and it's also Christmas. And so that's a really quiet time. And we encourage a lot of our clients here to do that over that period of time. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, maybe over the end of June, July, If you're in North America, obviously around that 4th of July holiday, if your business goes quiet for a couple of weeks while everyone goes on summer holidays and vacation, maybe that's the time to do it. So when the business is quiet is a great time to do it. Okay, organization of information security. Information security roles and responsibilities need to be specified. You need to have segregation of duties. You can't just have one person doing everything. They'll never be able to do their day job as well. Contacts with authorities. In some jurisdictions, you're required to do mandatory notifications if you've had a breach or a hack. And so that's something to consider. And so when we're talking about that, we need appropriate contacts from relevant authorities. We need to maintain those. So if we have an issue, we can contact people. This is about having a robust preventative, we're ready if we've got an issue system. So we've got emergency preparedness in place. This is about best practice for information security and cybersecurity management. Information security project management, that you specify plans if you are doing information security projects. And that can be really simple. It can be simply just who, what, when, where, and how. So who needs to do stuff? What do they need to do? When do they need to do it? How are they going to do it? And that's project management. Okay, moving right along, you do need a mobile device policy. One of the things in cybersecurity that your technology person can do, you can figure out how to do it yourself. If you've got the Google Workspace environment, it's really easy to do this. If you're the administrator, you can go into your Google security settings and you can do an endpoint register. And Google will look at your workspace. I believe you can do it in Microsoft, but I'm not a super specialist in the Microsoft environment. But you can do an endpoint analysis and you can look at all of the devices that are logged into your system. You do need a mobile device management issue. And so here at Best Practice, we have obviously the PIN code. We issue everybody with the device. The devices are logged into our system. We can control them. We can remotely lock them. We can remotely wipe them. And so they're all part of our system. So you do need a mobile device policy. So I would avoid letting anyone bring their own device and then just using their own device to log into your system. You do need to, if you've got sensitive information, either your own intellectual property and confidential information, or customers' intellectual property and important information, for example, payment details, credit card details, personal information, then you do need to make sure that you have control of the mobile devices in your environment that are logged into your systems. Teleworking. A policy and supporting security measures shall be implemented to protect information accessed, processed, and stored at teleworking sites. Now, teleworking was written into the standard about 15 years ago when the standard was being drafted. Now it's called remote working. So anyone working from home using your systems, what Wi-Fi system are they using? How are they, what kind of access are they using? Are they hotspotting off a mobile device? Are they using their home-based internet connection? And how secure is that? So, and that is something for you to consider, and you do need a policy on that. How are we going for time? Human resources security. So we need to obviously have screening of people. We need to have a policy on who we're going to let in and not. And in this day and age, I expect to see, we're already seeing early data, but I expect to see more industrial espionage, particularly with remote working. People, you could have an aggressive competitor, have one of their team members actually apply for a role with your organization. And yes, they might sign the confidentiality agreement and the non-disclosure agreements, but the question is that enforceable and is it able to be enforced, particularly if it's actual industrial espionage? So I have heard lots of rumors due to the COVID pandemic and people working from home of people working 2 jobs. They're sitting in front of 2 laptops, responding to emails at 2 companies and earning double income. So we need to have a screening process and we need to have a process of reporting and monitoring, particularly for new starters, and trust is an issue there. And terms and conditions of employment with significant requirements for the maintenance of confidentiality and participation in information security controls and the management of information security. During employment, obviously, people need responsibilities and we want to have those outlined. So it says management shall require all employees and contractors to apply information security in accordance with the established policies and procedures of the organization and contractually requiring people to do that. Information security awareness, education, and training. And it does need it. Look, it's not something that you kind of do once and you set it in concrete and that's it. This is a moving feast. It's moving risk management. And the more preventative you can be and the more forward-thinking you can be in the management of information security, then the better you're going to be in the long term with the organization because you want to be on the front foot. So what's going to be the information security induction training that you're going to have for every employee? What's going to be the routine of updates for every employee? how will you know that the employees have actually watched the training online or participated in it? How will you actually track their progress and that they've actually been awake? They didn't just play on the video and walk off to pick up their kids from school. They actually did and consumed the content. And so we need to actually have that. So all employees of the organization, and where relevant, contractors shall receive appropriate awareness, education, and training, and regular updates in organizational policies and procedures as relevant for their job function. Disciplinary process obviously needs to be in place. Shall be a formal and communicated disciplinary process in place to take action against employees who've committed an information security breach. Termination and change management, there's a section on that. Termination or change management of employment responsibilities, information security responsibilities and duties that remain valid after termination or change of employment shall be defined, communicated to the employee contractor, and enforced as best as you can. Moving on, inventory of assets. So assets associated with information and information processing facilities shall be identified, and inventory of these assets shall be drawn up and maintained. So kind of a map. So, for example, you've got Salesforce as a CRM, you've got a warehouse management system or an operating management system, you've got a whole bunch of customer information. Maybe you're a construction contractor, you've got blueprints, drawings, and specific detail on a defense facility that you're building. All that stuff needs to be kept confidential. And so how do you manage that and keep an inventory of that, inventory of your systems and inventory of what you've got from a customer's perspective? Ownership of assets. Assets maintained in the inventory shall be owned. And so you need to have ownership and control of those assets. Excuse me. Acceptable use of assets, return of assets. So section there on assets, which you can read and go through. There's a section on information classification. I'm going to jump over now to media handling, and I'll come back to these. And this is going to be a multi-part series as I go through these controls and talk about them. Classification of information. Obviously, if you've got really important stuff and secret stuff and top secret stuff and confidential stuff and financial stuff, you got to think about, don't just give everybody access to everything. Start to think about, okay, this person needs this and this person needs that. It does make life a little bit more complicated, but it does reduce your risk down to 1 or 2 or 3 people, so that you want to minimize the risk of exposure. Media is obviously going to be the biggest challenge for anyone in the next couple of years, and the management of media, both social media, because that's kind of uncontrolled, and the normal media. And so management there's media in terms of external communications, and there's media in terms of information. But in terms of social media and the management of media and the management of external communications and external stakeholders, we do need to make sure that we have got communication channels in place, and we understand who can and who can't talk externally from a stakeholder's perspective. So we want to have that defined. We want to think about that, and we want to think about who's going to get on the front foot. And maybe you want to have your lawyers on speed dial in case something happens. Maybe you want to have an insurance policy in place for the management of cybersecurity and issues and costs incurred if something goes wrong. Okay, let's just jump across to user access management while we're talking about people, and then I'm going to come back to some other areas because we want to finish up the people part, and then we'll move on and we'll talk about when we're going to schedule the next one of these videos. So where is everybody today? Cam's there in the studio. Hey, Chris in San Diego, great to have you on board. Hey, Kiana. Hey, Puzzle Duck in Melbourne. Good to have you guys, and a couple of people, and Sachin in Melbourne as well. So a few people, I can see Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne at the moment. So an Australian audience today, which is excellent. So I do want you to know that if any further deeper questions, I'm obviously running really quickly through this particular video. If you have got specific questions, you can always reach out to us. You can ask a question there in the comments, and I will look at the inbox and I'll come back to you. And if I don't answer it there, you can always send me a direct message on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to us here at bestpractice.biz. The best way to get to us is go to bestpractice.biz, excuse me, and submit an inquiry. Okay, user access management, user registration and deregistration, super important. We got a new starter starting here at Best Practice today. We're getting organized, or maybe they're starting tomorrow. We're getting organized for them, phones and Chromebooks and all of the different stuff that we use here at Best Practice. Formal user registration and deregistration process. I went through one of our cloud platforms last night and did some user updates and some user maintenance. And that's something that needs to be done on a regular basis and have someone responsible for that. User access provisioning. A formal user access provisioning process shall be implemented to assign or revoke access rights for all user types to all systems and services, so you can manage things quickly. So the grouping, if you like. Management of privileged access rights. The allocation and use of privileged access rights shall be restricted and controlled. So that's what I said about not getting everybody access to everything. Management of secret authentication information for users. So the allocation of secret authentication information shall be controlled through formal management process. Review of user access rights. You want to be constantly reviewing that. I think monthly. Who's got access to what? Do they still need it? Because business is constantly changing. And that's the one thing that we forget, is that someone might have worked in one part of the business and a month later they've been reallocated to another part of the business. They've still got access to all of these systems and are not part of their job anymore. So you want to keep doing that update and access management. Removal or adjustment of user access rights. So the access rights of all employees and external party users to information and information processing facilities shall be removed upon termination of their employment, contract or agreement, or adjusted upon change. So that's kind of that change management we're just talking about. And the last one on users is the use of secret authentication information. Users shall be required to follow the organization's practices in the use of secret authentication information. So I'm going to run out of my voice because I have been quite sick for the last couple of months, and I am struggling right now. So it's something that I want you to think about. So that's part one. I think just looking at the controls in the standard, we might be doing this as a 3-part series, maybe a 4-part series. So we'll see how we go. But same time next week, I'm going to continue on with the ISO 27001 controls, helping you understand what your obligations are, what to implement, some suggestions for how you might go about doing that. You can obviously make your own decisions about this, but this is maybe how you can have a think about it. So step 1 from this webinar, get yourself a copy of ISO 27001. So whether it's a hard copy or soft copy, you can get access hard copies through the Best Practice office. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you reach out to us here at Best Practice, we can work with you. Maybe you cover the shipping. We'll organize to get you a hard copy of this standard out to anywhere in the world. I'd suggest that you start thinking right now about implementing. So task number 2. Number 1, get a copy of the standard. Number 2, management review. Have a management review meeting. You need to book that in right now, because that becomes evidence of the fact that you're implementing a management system, and it starts now. Task number 3, start an internal audit. Now, if you don't know what to look at, download the free gap analysis checklist from our website. So go to bestpractice.biz, click on training, all the courses, and that's where you get the free downloads from, that part of our website. Get yourself a copy of the gap analysis checklist. You can use that to do an internal audit. Got a bunch of great questions, helps you work your way through it really slowly. Divide it into parts. Don't try and do it all in one go, because you will fall asleep, I guarantee it. Break it into small parts, start working your way through it. Then you'll have evidence of management review and internal audits. That's the start of your management system. You're already implementing 20% of your management system. Then you start talking to the tech people that are involved, if it's not you, and then you can start to see what else you've got in place as you do that gap analysis. Number 4, reach out to us here at Best Practice for a proposal for us to help you with. We can do an external gap analysis for you, and I would encourage you to do that. You can commission us to do that gap analysis and get you started, and then start holding your hand on your journey. When we're involved from the start, you will be accelerated through the process, because we've learned from the thousands and thousands of assessments that we've done how to accelerate you through what's important, what not to worry about. Because the last thing I want you to be doing is spinning your wheels, working on something that's not important. So we keep you focused on the stuff that's most important. And then task number 5 is get a proposal from us for ISO 27001 certification or accreditation. It's internationally recognized. I'm a signatory to the International Accreditation Forum, and you can use the best practice certificate and logos for ISO 27001 anywhere in the world. So we know that we get lots of international audience on our YouTube channel. So thanks very much for joining us. Hey, John in Sydney, good to have you on board again. Always good to see everybody jumping on and seeing us here at Best Practice. Okay, I am literally running out of voice. Quick and short today. I haven't got much left in the tank. I'm running on vapors right now. So I just want to thank everybody for your time. I want to thank everybody for jumping on today. I hope this has been super valuable. I hope those 5 points that I went through are going to help you get going. The sooner you can do your management review, the sooner you can start your internal audits, the sooner you can get us to do a gap analysis for you, the closer you will be to getting that external recognition and getting the incredible benefit of having an ISO 27001 information security management system in place that protects your organization and keeps maintaining it being a great place to work. Protects your customers and helps your customers to have a good supplier that's helping them. And then your organization will be a great investment. That's why we do what we do. Okay. Lots of stuff happening on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, my handle is @Kobi Simmat. A little bit of stuff happening on Facebook. Lots of stuff obviously happening on LinkedIn. So for those of you that are on YouTube, don't forget to jump across and follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Again, Kobi Simmat, KOBI SIMMAT. My first name, my last name on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on TikTok. TikTok's funny. Lots of crazy stuff there, business advice, etc. So if you don't see me on any of those platforms, you know how this goes. You'll definitely see me right here next time on Best Practice TV. Next week, part 2, I'm going to continue on the controls on ISO 27001 until we get to the end. I hope you can take some steps this week to start implementing and maintaining your information security management system, because I want you to have this. I want this for your organization. I want you to get that external recognition. If you get it, I will send you a pile of stickers to put all over your organization. I'll send you the artwork. So once you're certified with best practice, you'll be able to promote this to all your customers, all of your staff. It's super exciting. Okay, that's it from us here at Best Practice. I'll see you next time right here on Best Practice TV. Bye for now.